Hello guys, how are we doing and welcome back to the channel. The Black Ops 6 beta, or weekend one of the Black Ops 6 beta, should I say, is nearly over, and I've got my first thoughts and impressions video out right here. We're going to be going through the good and the not so great, or what could be improved upon in today's video. Now, of course, I want there to be some sort of discussion, so let me know your thoughts down in the comments, whether you agree with something or completely disagree with something. I'm always open to hear your thoughts, because why not at the end of the day? So before I want to get too into it, I just wanted to say generally I love the beta. I love the game, how it feels. I really like it. It's a proper dub for me. And yeah, so even though there may be a bunch of negative things I have to say about it, because there's always room to improve anything, I generally wanted to say I'm enjoying it. Okay, so let's kick it off with what's great. So first of all, how it looks. Black Ops 6 is vibrant, it's colourful, it's exciting, and it makes it enjoyable to both watch and play. Like, I find myself watching streamers and I'm not looking at a real grey scale sort of map. They're bright, they're popping. This gameplay is just one of the examples of the maps where they do really, the colours do really pop. Like the green's are green, the yellow's are yellow. It just makes it really enjoyable. And that sort of arcadey, vibrant feel also lends itself to being able to see enemies way easier. There weren't many times during the beta where I thought, how did I not see them? Where were they? I see most people in this game, and that's helped by the fact that red name tags appear quite far, just like there, sometimes even through smoke. Now, the general creator class setup is also really great. It's intuitive, it's not really overwhelming. The way that the attachments are listed vertically rather than horizontally means it's easy to pick attachments. The only thing I don't like is the fact you don't have like a detailed breakdown of what attachment does, like you have done in past Call of Duties. But that's something I think they can always improve upon if they feel like they need to, or need to add it. But I don't know whether they will have it. Cold War didn't, so I'm not holding my breath. I don't think Cold War did anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong. But generally speaking, the class setups are nice. In fact, you can have a secrets perk if you have 3 of the same category. Great. Wildcards add a little bit more, changeability, so you can have a real, each class can have its own little identity, and you can have a massive certain playstyle with certain class, just because there's so much you can do with the classes now, and they're not overly complex. Now, I also want to credit the best play system. It's a really good system. It seems like they've taken the Cold War algorithm, which was already really good, and tweaked it to be even better. There aren't many times during the beta so far where I felt like that the best play wasn't deserving of the best play. So again, that's a massive thumbs up from my perspective. The next thing I want to touch on, which is actually massive for ranked play in the competitive side of COD, is the fact that the audio is pretty good. So the sound of footsteps is not that high, and that means that when you're in real mixy games like I am in here, you don't really tend to hear any footsteps much. I can imagine if you're in a real quiet situation, let's say you're in S&D 1 versus 1 clutch, you probably will hear footsteps without Ninja, but as far as I'm aware, there is Ninja coming in the full mode, which means that in S&D you can literally just have a Ninja class for that. But it won't mean what I do like about the fact that footsteps aren't massively loud is that in general games like this one, covert sneakers won't be a clutch, sorry. There won't be, you won't have to use Ninja just to get around without being soundhoard, and I think that's a massive improvement. The time to kill also feels very nice. It's a little bit quicker than Cold War, but it's relatively similar. But it also means that, and it's like really consistent as well. It means that gunfights are reliable. You can see when you're going to kill someone, you're going to move to your next target and move on. And I feel like that's because of the fact that you don't have damage multipliers anymore. You're not shooting someone in the lower arm and it's taking way longer than it would to kill them in the upper arm and things like that. Really like that. It's the perfect balance between being long enough to have a skill gap, but also being short enough or quick enough so that you can kill multiple enemies in a single clip. Really like that. That's really nice. Now the UI, I touched on this in the creator class, but the UI is also really nice inside and outside of the game. How the game looks and the map and everything is all customizable when you're in game. I love that, and I feel like it's super simple outside of the game. Now I know Treyarch are probably stuck with Activision's set of how they want things to be in the menus in the COD HQ, but from what I saw in the beta, it looks really clean. It's really nice. It's easy to use and get around. Now I can't go talking about the good things about this game without touching on the movement. The movement adds another level of complexity and skill gap in the game. It heightens that skill ceiling that little bit higher, meaning that, you know what, you don't have to use it. And if you want to be a little bit more stationary, be a little bit more passive, be a little bit more methodical in your movement, you can just sit back and relax. But in the same way, if you want to feel like you can, I don't know, if you want to be a real sweaty tryhard and you want to master the movement, you can do, and it will probably make you better at the game, and you're probably going to win more gunfights because you've taken the time to master that aspect of COD. So yeah, really like the movement. As I say, it adds a skill gap, and it gives you something to master in the game in COD, other than potentially recoil and map positioning and, you know, spawns and things like that. It adds that another level of physical, you know, mastery that you can attain. The next thing I see not enough about is the fact that they've changed aim assist. Now, Treyarch at the beginning of the beta said they have amended aim assist to further align experiences across inputs. So they want, you know, a little bit more of an even playing field across keyboard and mouse players and controller players. So what they've done, if you're within 3 meters of a player, they've basically give you no aim assist. So if you're a controller player or a keyboard and mouse player, in those 3 meter zone, you're going to have no aim assist, both of you, which means it's super level and it gives keyboard and mouse players more of a chance at those closer ranges. And it also increases the skill gap even further just amongst controller players themselves. So again, I really like that. Now, the reason I'm saying having a better skill gap is a good thing is because it's always a good thing. You know, skill-based matchmaking is a thing now where you don't come across people who are really good compared to you. It's meant to be a level playing field, so it means you're not really going to be able to play people who are that much better than you. But a skill gap's also there to, if you want to improve, you've got room to improve, and your ceiling can be higher than what you're currently at. So I really like the fact that there's more of a skill gap in this game. And generally speaking, if I die in this game, or at least on this beta, it's because of something I've done, not because of some cheese. Like, I know MW3 wasn't too bad, but MW2 and Vanguard, there were so many deaths I had in those games where I felt like I could do nothing about it. Like, I could be playing amazingly, but the deaths would still occur because of something outside of my control. I feel like this game has little of that, and it means that you're in control of, most of the time, you're in control of what's happening. Now, like, 95% of the time, there's obviously packet bursts and latency issues and things like that, which we're going to touch on later, but generally it's pretty good. Now, I wanted to touch on one more thing to say how good it is. It's generally really fun. Like, you've got to recognize here, we're playing pubs in a fairly sweaty, you know, lobby base, and we're playing the same handful of maps, and it's still enjoyable. I'm having a lot of fun considering. So even if, you know, forget everything else I've said, that's the main thing that matters. Am I having fun? Yes is the answer. I'm having a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the full game. So generally, it's a thumbs up from me. Now, there's things that obviously could be improved. Now, there's parts of the game that are really, really slow, like mantling, reloading, throwing nades, throwing trophies, and even full tac sprinting feels slow. If you use fast hands on MW3, I can't imagine how it must have felt coming to this game. But for me, I'd love to see this sped up very slightly, because I do feel like it is a little bit behind where it should be, especially considering the pace of the rest of the game. You know, if you mantle, you're pretty much dead because it takes you 4 minutes to get over the wall or whatever you're climbing over. Now, there's also some optimization issues which I think they can fix, that being frames and latency. I am on PC, and I used to get, on MW3, I get about 200 to 220 frames solid on most maps. And on this game, I get half that, sometimes even less than half, sometimes a third of that. So Skyline's the worst map, I think, for it. I get 70 frames on that, which is just bloody painful. But it's only in certain areas, so it's not too bad. But I feel like that's something they can optimize in the full release of the game. Now, I don't have a bad PC whatsoever. I have a 3070 Ti, 32 gig of RAM, and a Ryzen 7 RTX 5800, I think. So it's not a bad PC by any means, but as I say, I was getting 220 frames in MW3, and now I'm getting 140. It's just not great. Another thing with optimization is that I feel like the servers are never going to be able to... They're never going to be good in a beta. It's a massive stress test on them. And I'm hoping the experience we've got with latency and packet bursts and everything like that is improved in the full game. Yeah, there's definitely room for improvement there. I'm hoping that's a focus of theirs, because packet loss seems consistent. The fact you have to have on-demand texture streaming and on as like a force setting, is definitely an aspect of it. But, you know, I'm dying around corners. Bullet reg seems inconsistent. And a lot of people have been saying it about packet burst. So as long as they fix the optimization and, you know, tune things better, I feel like both of the last two things I mentioned are probably going to be out the window and not a problem whatsoever. The next one to touch on is the maps. Now, I know these maps are pubs and we're playing in pubs and it's 6v6, but the maps don't feel great. I said before, they look great, but they don't play very well. I expected from Treyarch 3-lane maps, relatively simple, and from a rank play perspective, there's not one map I have played in the beta that I could guarantee, yeah, get that in rank play. That's going to be great S&D or great hardpoint map. I haven't felt like that. And you know what, let's take the example. When they added Rewind, I was a little bit hopeful because it was a new and refreshing map. This is the one with the Burger Town and like the DVD store. But you load in and you spawn in and there's so much clutter. There are so many corners you have to check. There are so many windows and head glitches you have to check. If you think of all the great maps, even if you take a look at MW3 ranked play, the maps there that stood out to be really good, in my head, obviously it's subjective, are you know, Rio and Vista, really simple looking maps. And when you compare those to Karachi and Invasion, which are both a little bit more complex, there's a little bit more clutter, there's a little bit more, like, you know, you can sit in a corner and get away with it. I feel like the less complex the maps, the better. I don't want to have to check 10 head glitches as I walk out of spawn. It shouldn't be the case. So yeah, I feel like I'm hoping, fingers crossed, the maps are better in the full game. Yeah, the last thing is, and I know this, it's a beta, this is always going to be an issue on a Call of Duty beta, and it's spawns. They're not great. But as I say, I needed to mention it because I knew it wasn't perfect, and I'm sure there's many of you with frustrating spawn. At some point, there's so many times I've died from just someone spawning behind me, and I'm like, what the bloody hell's going on? I'm 5 off a nuke. What's this about? And yeah, in order for spawns to be good, the devs need data, and in order to get data, they need people to play it. So on a beta, the first time a lot of people are playing this, it's never going to be perfect, but it's something that they hopefully are going to improve for the full game's release. And then the final thing, which is a mere niggle, it's not anything it's not a deal breaker whatsoever, is I'd like to see damage on the scoreboard. Cold War had damage on the scoreboard, and if I was being, my mate was being, just clicking up my kills, and we've got the same, EKIA. I'll at least know I did more because I had more damage. I'd just like to see it. I don't know why it's not in this whatsoever, even in the after action combat record, whatever you want to call it. I feel like that's missing, and I would like it, but like I say, it's a small niggle. So yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for the very short review. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know whether you agree or disagree with certain things I say. What are your biggest grievances to the game? What do you hate? What do you love? Let me hear it. I want to see all of your opinions because I'm very interested. Because I feel like it's going to be so different. I feel like people are going to think one thing and the other people are going to disagree. But yeah, for me, I'm enjoying myself. I'm getting on with some friends and I'm having fun. And at the end of the day, that's what we all play video games for. We escape from reality and have fun playing with our mates, shooting pretend people as pretend shoulders on pretend maps. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it insightful. Au revoir. And I will see you in the next one. Au revoir. Ciao for now.